Number 11. Shaylin Moran. On New Year's Day 2020, shortly after announcing their engagement on social media, 24-year-old Jack Doherty and his 18-year-old partner gunned down a woman in Rhode Island. Doherty and his fiancée, Shaylin Moran, targeted 54-year-old Cheryl Smith, the mother of Moran's ex-boyfriend, Leonard Trofield. He was reportedly at the residence when the shooting occurred but wasn't hurt. Smith was found with multiple gunshot wounds to her chest, believed to have been inflicted with a 3D printed handgun, and was later pronounced dead at a local hospital. The motive remained a matter of speculation. It could have been a failed drug robbery, as the police were seen carrying several cannabis plants out of Smith's home, and Moran had professed her love of the substance on social media. Smith might have also been killed in retaliation to the domestic abuse that Moran had allegedly suffered at Trofield's hands. After the killing, Doherty and Moran, who had gunsight tattooed on her face, posted photos on social media, one of which boasted, "We some fighters and some shooters." The pair were later arrested at a Hampton Inn and held on first-degree murder charges. Number 10. Kelsey Carter. In early 2019, Los Angeles-based musician Kelsey Carter shocked her Instagram followers by announcing she'd gotten a tattoo of One Direction star Harry Styles on her face. 24-year-old Carter posted a photo showing Styles' face on her cheek, which rapidly became viral and received extensive media coverage. The attention was focused on the outrageous tattoo itself, but also on Carter's new single. In April of 2018, she was going through a hard time after her relationship had ended and wrote a song called Harry, inspired by the pop star. It was shelved for a few months and then released along with the announcement of the tattoo. A few days later, in a video entitled How I Rocked the Entire World for $300, Carter revealed that the tattoo was only temporary and had been done with the help of a makeup artist. She admitted that it was simply meant to garner attention to the song. While a number of users praised the move and called it brilliant marketing, the vast majority condemned the hoax, some even referring to it as a crime. Number 9. Puck Karika. In 2019, the wife of New Zealand man Puck Karika started a crowdfunding page that would help him pay for his college education and aspirations of becoming a personal trainer. It was meant to support the man's attempt to turn his life around after his massive face tattoo reportedly prevented him from getting a job. 31-year-old Karika was part of the Mongrel Mob, one of the country's most feared biker gangs. For over a decade, he had the word notorious written in the gang's red and black colors, tattooed on most of his face, in a manner that resembled a face mask. Karika was imprisoned twice and overcame a methamphetamine addiction while locked up. In an interview with the newspaper that reported on his story, he admitted that he will always be a mobster, but added that he tried to encourage others towards improving their condition. Yet, even after turning away from a criminal lifestyle and becoming part of a rugby team, Karika still found it hard to get work. While many were sympathetic to his plight and even donated to the page, others mocked his attempts at bettering his life, including rapper 50 Cent. He posted a picture of Karika and concluded his caption with, "I wonder why he can't get a job." Number 8. Daryl Gio. In January of 2015, New Orleans man Daryl Gio was sentenced to 30 years in prison for cumulative criminal acts, including a violent carjacking that had occurred in November of 2013. In a grocery parking lot in Metairie, he attacked a 68-year-old woman with a broken bottle and forced her out of her Chevrolet Cavalier. The victim was knocked to the ground and sustained injuries to her head and arm from being struck with the bottle. A few hours later, he attempted to rob an 18-year-old French Quartet resident as she walked in the 900 block of Chartres Street. The first victim's car was found less than a mile from where Gio lived. He was easily identifiable due to the word red rum, a reverse spelling for murder, tattooed in capitals across his forehead. Gio was arrested a few days later after he was spotted by a police officer. He ultimately pled guilty to the carjacking and attempted first-degree robbery. Number 7. Unnamed Welshman. In 2015, a man from Swansea, South Wales, went to a bachelor party in Blackpool, where after a night of drinking, he awoke to find some markings on his face. They were in the form of a pair of glasses, with the misspelled name of the Ray-Ban brand written on the side. At first, the unnamed man, reported as being in his 50s, believed that someone had used a marker to draw the glasses on him. However, he subsequently discovered that they wouldn't come off no matter how hard he tried. He had no recollection of getting the tattoo, which he suspected had likely been the result of a drunken deer. Upon returning home, in spite of the stares he'd get, he decided not to have the tattoo removed. However, after being mocked at a pub, he started thinking about his friends and family. He didn't want them to get embarrassed upon being seen with him in public and decided to get rid of the glasses. He visited a laser clinic and after a 6-session treatment, he was free of his drunken mistake. Number 6. Camprasong Tamavong. On March the 7th of 2016, police in Fresno, California took 33-year-old Camprasong Tamavong into custody following a traffic stop. Tamavong's heavily tattooed face featured the word Gucci written on his forehead, as well as a pattern that covered his entire head, tears below his eyes, blackened lips, and the words "Speak No Evil" inked beneath his nose in the shape of a mustache. The officer that spotted him found that Tamavong was on probation and a member of the Laos Blood Gang. He requested assistance with interviewing him from the Southeast Violent Crime Impact Team. They researched Tamavong to find out his address and then conducted a search of his Fresno residence. Inside, they found SWAT tactical gear, a semi-automatic handgun, and a semi-automatic rifle. They also found drug paraphernalia and a marijuana grow, for which he didn't have a license, and which consisted of 38 plants. Tamavong was arrested on numerous felony charges, including cultivation of marijuana and felon in possession of a firearm. Number 5. Christopher Breaker. In August of 2017, Texas law enforcement arrested 25-year-old Christopher Breaker for robbing a Walgreens in Cyprus. They were able to quickly identify and locate Breaker due to the black streaks tattooed on his face, which contoured his eyes and ran down his cheeks, nose, and cheekbones. Witnesses from the store told officers that Breaker had been behaving strangely and eating food right off the shelves. He then jumped over the pharmacy's counter, flashed a knife, and then started hitting the back door with a fire extinguisher. He eventually fled through the front entrance and left behind the donuts that he'd attempted to steal. A witness who'd recognized Breaker's facial artwork from a previous mugshot pointed the police in the right direction. He was charged with aggravated robbery with a deadly weapon, which is a second-degree felony. Number 4. Adam Roberts. In March of 2013, an Illinois man was arrested for a string of robberies in his southwestern hometown of Godfrey. 24-year-old Roberts was instantly recognizable due to his full-face skeleton tattoo. The police suspected that during the previous month, Roberts and an accomplice had stolen from as many as 28 storage units and then sold the goods to unsuspecting members of the public. One officer referred to Roberts' tattoo as the oddest thing he'd seen in over 2 decades of law enforcement. The suspect was held on a $60,000 bond. His distinctive artwork made it easier for the police to track down the items that he'd sold, which included, among others, televisions, fishing equipment, a refrigerator, and paintings. Number 3. Michael Vine. In June of 2018, South Carolina man Michael Vine was involved in a car crash in the city of Greenville. Vine, who had a handgun tattooed on his forehead, was ironically federally prohibited from carrying a firearm. As he exited the vehicle, the city's firefighters spotted him throwing something in the grass. They discovered that the item was a fully loaded Smith & Wesson .38 caliber revolver. Vine was arrested and charged with driving too fast, driving on a suspended license, and unlawful carrying of a firearm. Number 2. William and Lawrence Bottoms. In August of 2019, a heavily tattooed man was found guilty of a double homicide, which had occurred in East Baton Rouge, Louisiana, in 2017. His legal defense team had feared that a jury would judge William Bottoms Jr. because of his numerous face tattoos that included a skeletal smile on his mouth, an eye in the middle of his forehead, a devil with the eyes crossed out on his chin, and many others. In early June, according to his then-girlfriend, she and Bottoms were in the same car with 23-year-old Dedrick Dwayne Williams and Mohammed S. Hussein, aged 29. They'd reportedly bought some heroin. Bottoms, sitting in the front passenger seat, then became paranoid from the drugs. At around 3 a.m., without warning or provocation, he shot Williams and Hussein as they sat in the back seat. Both victims were shot multiple times in the head. They were then abandoned in a rural area along with the vehicle and covered with a sheet that matched others owned by Bottoms. The jury deliberated for about an hour before finding him guilty, and he was sentenced to 2 consecutive life terms. A few months before he was convicted, his twin brother Lawrence was fatally shot by deputies in Mississippi. They were trying to serve him a high-risk warrant for illegal firearm possession when Lawrence pulled out a gun and pointed it at them. Lawrence also had abundant facial ink that included a skull and bones on his chin, a crown of thorns, tribal markings on the cheeks, and, like his brother, a skeleton mouth. Number 1. Michael Mann. In 2018, a Cincinnati man with extensive facial tattoos was arrested for kidnapping in what was his 54th run-in with the law. 35-year-old Michael Mann's artwork included, among others, a large dollar sign over his eye, as well as lip marks and a heavily tattooed left ear. In October, he entered a check cashing store and held a woman against her will, unless her sister returned with $100. The police responded to the 911 call and took him into custody. Earlier in the year, he was arrested on domestic violence and aggravated burglary charges. He crawled into the home of his child's mother through an open window and proceeded to choke and assault her. Mann's extensive record featured arrests for burglary, robbery, and drug possession. For his most recent criminal offense, he was held on a bond set at $200,000. Thanks for watching. Would you rather have your ex's name tattooed on your forehead or have a 50-pound plate dropped on your foot? Let us know in the comments section below.